Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another video. Today, I'd like to share some thoughts and insights around the upcoming tour of Venus in Leo. So as many of you are probably aware that the Venus in Leo transit this year is a little bit different. So as opposed to her usual sort of 4-ish week visit of Leo, she's going to be there for a period of around 4 months. So this week, Venus enters the sign of Leo, and she's going to do that around the 5th, 6th, and she's going to be there until October 10th. So this is due to her moving retrograde through Leo. And the dates and details of that are she is going to enter June 5. She's going to retrograde on July 23. And that's going to be at 28 degrees of Leo, so right towards the end of the sign. She's going to be moving backwards to 12 degrees until September 4. Then September 4 to October 10, she's going to be retracing her steps before she actually moves into Virgo. So case being, or point being, if you've got a planet or an angle between 28 and 12 of Leo, Venus retrograde is going to pass over that planet or point. Even if you don't have a planet or a point in Leo, each one of us has a house ruled by Leo. And so this may be the point or the area or topic associated with that house that is going to be up for review, reassessment, and renewal over the course of the next several months. So if one way to look at this is that Venus has a very unique retrograde cycle. And the last time, I won't go into all of those details, but the last time she went retrograde in the sign of Leo was if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it would have been your summer months of 2015. And here in the South, like myself, it was the winter of 2015. So that might be something just to keep in the background to think about, because a chapter that may have opened then is set to close now. Venus retrogrades in the same sign every 8 years. So if you look back over your Leo house, every 8 years, 2023, 2015, 2007, so on and so on, you may start to see a little bit of a thread or a little bit of a pattern that sort of infiltrates your life as far as Venus retrograde goes. So she's the most rare of all of the retrogradations, and so that's sort of special in of itself. And because it's Venus, she's deeply personal. So Venus retrogradations are the most felt of all the retrogrades. When she retrogrades, it makes me really think about the concept of how have you sacrificed or surrendered or compromised on your happiness for something or someone else. This particular retrograde happens in Leo. So the question might be, how have I compromised on my sovereignty for something or someone else? Okay, so that might be a feature of this particular retrograde. So who is Venus? I think it's good to just maybe kind of recap on some of her major significations. Even though she may not rule the topic of houses in your birth chart, she is a general significator of relationships, of love, of beauty, harmony, and all those kind of things that catch our eye, the things that attract us, or turn our head a second time if we see something or someone that really catches our eye. In the online space, Venus might be the principle that makes you hit that like button. So she also relates to art, beauty, creativity, joy, and pleasure. So she really is the treats and trinkets and the sugar on top in our lives. And so she's very, very subjective. And so when she retrogrades, we are starting to reassess, these things in our life, do we still want them? Do we still have desire for them? And it's Venus retrograde in Leo. And in medical astrology, Leo is the heart. And so this is really a question of heart's desire. does my heart still want what it once did? Maybe what you wanted 8 years ago is not what you want now. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think in some situations, if you still want the same things, obviously I'm assuming most of us still don't want the same things that we wanted at 8. But when we're 20, 30, 40, 50, well, of course, our tastes evolve and change. And Venus retrograde can reflect those evolving changes in our life. So Leo is a sign that's very proud. It's very vibrant. It's inspiring. It's generous. But it also demands that generosity, that warmth, that radiance and light is reflected back at it. And so when Venus retrogrades in that sign, you may start to feel or recognize the ways in which you haven't been appreciated or adored or respected in a way that you hoped you might. And so this might cause some significant questions. This might be in a relationship. Maybe it's a career pathway. Maybe it's got something to do with your money. Maybe you're not adoring, respecting, and valuing your finances. Maybe you're treating it like a bad boyfriend that you don't want around anymore. It can be many things. And again, look to the Leo house of your birth chart, and that might give you some food for thought on how it can work. So heart's desire, and this phase might invite us to really figure out how we may have compromised what's really true for us. On the collective stage, I've been waiting for this transit for a really long time. And I really do hope that Venus as a binding principle. So she is very cool, temperate, and she's wetness, she's a moisture. So she is, I've said this before, she is your eggs and your milk to your dry ingredients when you're baking. So she binds things together, and she makes, everyone goes for the cake batter, right? I know I certainly will lick the spoon before it goes in the sink. And so Venus in Leo retrograde, she may prompt us to think, well, how have I compromised on those heart's desires? How have I compromised my sovereignty, my center, my principles for, a collective ideal, or what other people expect of me or want from me? Granted, we all have to make compromises and accommodations. We can't all just, stand with our sword and die on the hill at all costs. We all have to make adjustments and compromises and deals as we go along. But there are times where we have to really rethink and reevaluate and figure out, like, what is sovereignty to me? What am I willing to continue to compromise on and accommodate, and what am I not? And I think this is going to become very obvious and very clear as Venus first enters Leo, because when she does, she straight off the bat is going to oppose Pluto in Aquarius. And so these months are going to carry that vibe through the retrograde. So from the get-go, this is a deep, probing, investigative, questioning, reassessing, and cathartic transit. Because even though Venus retrogrades in Leo every 8 years, each transit is going to hold its own flavor depending on, what else is happening in the sky. So themes of loyalty and trust are likely to pop up, and questioning and thinking about what is trust. And I've often referred to some of Brene Brown's work in this, and trust is the willingness to put something that you hold very, that has value and that you hold very dear at risk. And this might be a chunk of money you want to put in a share market. You value that money, but you do put it at risk, and that risk reward ratio. It might be your heart if you're entering a new relationship. It might be a career change or a career move. or it might be just some things with your personal appearance, your values, how you want to present yourself. Maybe you want to make a few changes in that regard. But this is going to be a very deep and intense it's going to have that pull down feeling of really thinking about how you may have compromised something that if you had your time again, you wouldn't have compromised it. Though it's not a transit to be filled with regret, it's more about learning to explore the questions that led you to make those choices and coming back to that center and coming back to that heart's space. So I could talk about Venus retrograde for a really long time and all of the aspects that are coming up, but I just really wanted to narrow it down to this week. Of course, if you would love more astrology, you're welcome to join me in the Golden Circle, where we will be talking all things Venus in Leo and her retrograde phase. And one other thing I'd love to mention is that next week, June 7, my next enrollment for the contemporary astrology program starts. So enrollment's open now and we start next week. So I start you at the very beginning of astrology. And sometimes people ask me, oh, but I've been, following astrology for a while, learning about it. I'm like, yeah, that's great. But what this course does is also gives you structure to it. I teach you so many things you're not going to learn in a book. And we also have recorded material, handouts, and resources, but in addition, weekly live videos where we talk about astrology as it happens. We talk the language, we get into the energy of it, and I mentor and support you in your astrological journey as well. So there's a lot of interface with me, not just, hey, watch the webinars and take the test and on your bike. So there's a lot of guidance there for you as well. So I'll pop all the descriptions of that in the show notes below. So it's been a while since I've done a YouTube, so I might have been a bit rusty today, but it's great to be back. And welcome to 12th house transits. I disappeared for just a little bit there. But I hope you're all well. I'd love to hear about your Venus retrograde experiences. Which house was it, or will it be for you? And can you already see some threads or a bit of a history repeat vibe when you think about how the cycle we are embarking on takes you back to 2015, perhaps even 2007 as well. So until next time, I hope you have a really great beginning of this retrogradation, or this transit, I should say. So until next time, have a great week, and hopefully I'll have a video for you next.